everyone. Welcome in Tuesday edition of Weather Underground. I'm Mike Bettis.
I'm Alex Wilson, also joined by our expert, Dr. Rick Knabb. You owe a lot of us apologies for what you did during Weather and Play yesterday.
I jinxed everyone's teams yesterday. Everyone I picked lost.
Correct.
So today you get to do the forecast for the games.
Well, it's going to warm me up before my big bet loss that I have to do later this week.
And you get to get us ready for a Game 7 up in Philly. That's pretty exciting.
Game 7 in Philly, which they've never played a Game 7. Can you believe it? The Phillies have never been involved in a Game 7 ever.
So that means
they're always really great or really terrible.
Okay. Well, this is their year to be.
Well, they're going to be really loud tonight. Can you imagine what the fans are going to be like for their first Game 7? Oh, my gosh.
It's going to be pandemonium. So, you know, October can really bring the full gamut when it comes to exciting sports and when it comes to weather. Summer like heat, snow, and then we've got two very active tropical basins as well.
We had a landfalling depression in Central America last night. You might think, well, that has nothing to do with the U.S., but that's bringing some of the moisture into Texas and other places that actually, for the most part, like that.
Yes, and you take a look at the maps behind us here. There's snow and a lot of it coming for us here on our northern states. A place like Montana will have some details for you. There's that rain you were talking about, Dr. Knabb, and eventually through the week, all these storms march east.
And by the way, in the southeast, the next week is perfection.
It is.
You know, when your lows are in the upper 50s and your highs are inching toward upper 70s, 80, doesn't get any better than that if you ask me.
No, the humidity is not too bad, man. It is peak perfection.
Yeah.
We're not trying to brag. I mean, again, parts of the Southern Plains, you guys like the rain, right?
Listen, it's just subjective. Whatever your weather is subjective, that's for sure. But let's run through it and show you what's going on. And why do you say it that way?
Because I say everything wrong.
Okay.
I'm just saying.
Now it's just part of you. It's just who you are.
It's just North Georgia stuck. So it's just that Alex Wilson accent coming out every once in a while. Welcome you back into Weather Underground. Hopefully your blood pressure stays low. I'm Alex Wilson here with Mike Bettis and Dr. Knabb. He'll help. He's very calm.
He will. He has a very calm influence on us. We've got some storm in the south, but not necessarily calm weather for us in certain parts of the country. We've got some issues in the Midwest today.
Yeah, you know, we've got the storminess. These areas need the rainfall, so it's not all reporting rain. So along that I-35 corridor, a little soggy. That continues down towards Austin and San Antonio. San Antonio not reporting rain right now, but cloud cover, and there is rain in the vicinity. Today, severe risk across parts of West Texas, southern sections of New Mexico, and even extreme southeastern parts of the state of Arizona. So I-10, parts of I-20, I-15, or I-25 rather, in play for strong to severe storms. They'll be isolated. Again, not expecting a ton of severe weather coverage, but a few of the storms could bring you some hail, some gusty winds, or even an isolated tornado. Tomorrow, we get back into parts of southern Oklahoma through the middle part of the state of Dallas. State of Texas, but it does include Dallas, Fort Worth. It does include San Antonio and points west, Abilene and San Angelo. You guys could see a few spicy thunderstorms. Future radar this afternoon. Again, it is that I-35 corridor, Oklahoma City, all the way down to San Antonio, where we've got some persistent rain, possibility of a thunderstorm, one or two, which could be severe. But again, the best risk later today and tonight across sections of New Mexico and Texas. You can see that line gets going, and that'll bring us the possibility of some really strong winds tomorrow morning. We're still dealing with the storms around San Angelo, Wichita Falls, and that continues eastward through the day. So again, gusty winds, perhaps some hail all the way through the late part of Wednesday and even early Thursday. We've got rain persisting in these areas. So again, also watching for the possibility of some localized flash flooding in areas where the rain just gets too much to handle. Here's the Dallas-Fort Worth area with, again, those thunderstorms and showers sticking with us. We'll get breaks here and there, but more work in during the afternoon or late morning and afternoon tomorrow. I think late morning it's spotty. Afternoon, that's when you can expect much more coverage. And Mike, gusty winds, hail, a possibility, but very heavy rain will accompany this. Good news for the drought, but not necessarily great news if we watch for flash flooding, especially in those
feeling heated seats.
I was going to say, where's the food too, right? Because when you get one of those long backups, you're like, ooh, I need a snack.
I think I'd like to travel with both of you.
Right?
Seems like a really comfortable ride.
You'd have hot snacks.
But I'm a little bit surprised that the number is as high as snow tires. I don't recall. I remember when I was a kid, we used to switch out to snow tires, but I feel like tires are so good these days that people just use all season. They're pretty good.
But the scraper is something that just about everybody can use, even in the south, when you get some morning lows below freezing, and then if your car's parked outside, your windshield might be iced over, and you got to use the scraper for that. So everybody north to south could use the scraper at one time or another.
I will say, when I went to Syracuse, I drove an Acura Integra, so they're real low to the ground, but I had snow tires on that bad boy. And let me tell you, you, that thing worked.
Yeah,
Your sports car with snow tires.
Yeah,
I like
and I
that.
was like, I didn't have to shovel myself out of spots. You just forward, backward, and you just, I was hauling all around
I want to
Syracuse.
see a picture of this thing.
I got to find it. Yeah, it had
picture?
some beastly snow tires.
You know, I would need lessons on how to do the change.
You would.
Southerners don't know how to put chains on tires.
There's an art to it, right? There's a proper way and an improper way. But those of you that live, especially like the Northwest, change required all the time.
Yeah.
So.
And I was going to say, no offense, but Southerners don't really know how to drive in snow, let alone with 2005, such a powerhouse season. But Wilma, one of the ones that, top of the list when people talk about the storms that they remember.
And so many things come to my mind with Wilma. I don't even know where to start, but I do remember being on a damage assessment tour with Max Mayfield, because I was a forecaster at the Hurricane Center at the time when he was director. And we were still assessing the damage from Katrina when we were talking back to the Hurricane Center about what was developing down in the Caribbean in October with Wilma. And that was a hurricane that really hit me home at work and at my house, because I was working the day shift when Wilma was coming across my house up in Broward County, and the operations floor at the Hurricane Center was vibrating because of the guy wires on the outside holding the satellite dishes in place were connected to the floor somehow, and the whole time I did the 11 a.m. and 5 p.m. advisories, the floor was vibrating while I'm watching the eye go over my house. And my wife and one-year-old son were there. Doing work and family at the same time during a hurricane is tough.
It's always a challenge, and sometimes we don't think about that when the forecasters are dealing with whether it's, tornadoes or hurricanes. This also, you point out, late October, and goes to show you we can have and have had really powerhouse storms.
And even though it made landfall as a Cat 3 in southwestern Florida.
Staying with us here for Weather Underground. Welcome in. I'm Mike Bettis.
I'm Alex Wilson. As always, we're joined by our expert, Dr. Rick Knabb. A lot going on. We've got the ups and the downs of the temperatures. We've got snow. We've got severe. We've got tropics.
Yeah, and I think, except for the severe and the tropics, which are going to be causing some problems, I think the weather pattern right now is to a lot of people's liking. Texas and Oklahoma need the rain they're going to get the next few days.
True.
The southeast and the east in general, warmer than average at a time of year where that is not all that bad of temperature. And then you're getting some snow out west into the mountains, so you're starting to get the ski season jump started. I mean, that pattern is mostly good.
Glass half full with you, Dr. Knabb.
Absolutely.
I love it. I love it, right? But plenty to talk about. There's no doubt about that. All kinds of weather is in the offing. The thing that may stick out there on that map on the left-hand side, snow. And big feet of snow on the way.
Yeah, people are like, that's an awful lot of blue on the map.
Yes.
And yet we could be looking at our first name winter storm of the season. If we get we're not going to get the population criteria, but we may get the square mileage because it's a big boy. And when we look at those totals, up to 2 feet.
Yeah, I decided to dress for the occasion.
I love that.
See what I did there?
We've got that rain, as we mentioned, in the middle of the country, and then some stormy weather across the Midwest. Already some severe thunderstorm warnings today.
Yeah, we've got a lot to watch about, or a lot to watch for as storms made their return to the Midwest. We've seen that blow up here during the mid to late morning hours. That will continue through the second half of today. It's one of the zones where we could see at least an isolated or widely scattered severe threat today. So the water vapor imagery showing the activity. We do have severe storms, one in Minnesota, or actually 2 in Minnesota, another one into the state of Wisconsin. Minneapolis is at 55 with rain showers. It's 67 in Green Bay, so warmer across the eastern part of Wisconsin and the western shores of Lake Michigan. Again, a few warnings out there, but this really goes to show you what we're expecting today. A lot of thunderstorms, a few of them reaching severe criteria. So we're watching for hail and we're watching for gusty, damaging winds. In this one, it's hail, Shawano County here in the state of Wisconsin. We've got Belle Plaine, we've got Shawano, and we've got Westcott under the warning until 1:15 local time. You've got some heavy rain on the west side of Menominee as well. And there's a lot of lightning with our storm. So even if you're not getting in on a severe thunderstorm, if you're getting that thunder, you are getting the lightning. So you want to be inside. Hail out of this one in Minnesota as well. It's along Highway 14. Just to the south of town would be where that hail core is. And you can see a few hail cores out there. One to the west of Gaylord. And this one, the most significant game in town. Here you're looking at hail of quarter size. So quarter size hail means we've got that severe criteria hail. And this is the hail size at which things start to become damaging. So Gaylord and Arlington and Green Isle, Blakely and Faxon in the path of this one. That also includes Highway 169, areas well to the north of Mankato, the spots to watch. Today I mentioned it's not a widespread severe threat, but just like we have now, I think we'll see isolated or widely scattered severe storms as the afternoon wears on. Mankato to Minneapolis, La Crosse to Rhinelander, as far east as Green Bay, and that northwest part of lower Michigan, parts of the UP as well. Tomorrow, we shift the threat a little farther to the south and west, Des Moines, northern Missouri, sections of Nebraska, and that sliver of northern Kansas. So it's going to be communities to the north of Kansas City. When we play this out, you can see a lot of rain in the forecast, a lot of thunderstorms, not necessarily all of these severe, but all of them will produce lightning and heavy downpours. So got to watch these areas for persistent rounds of heavy rain. That could prompt some flash flooding. We'll also watch for rain and thunderstorms down towards the Kansas City area, up into sections of Iowa and Illinois. That continues overnight, so don't be surprised if you hear the rain on the rooftop while you're sleeping, with those thunderstorms coming back towards parts of Kansas and Missouri tomorrow. Rainfall to come through the end of the week. We've got a few zones where we could see some heftier totals. One into Missouri and Kansas. That's where 2 to 3+ inches are possible. And this stretch up here into parts of Minnesota and Wisconsin and the UP, where again 2 to 3+ inches are possible. Outside of that, a lot of the area looking at 1 to 2 inches. This is needed rain. These areas have been dealing with drought. But again, Mike, you get all that rain too quickly and you can get some localized water problems.
Yes, we can. Now we'll have some storms farther.
Today, the city of New Orleans started with a dense fog advisory. Foggy pileup involving more than 150 cars and trucks forced officials to close the northbound lanes of Interstate 55 west of the city. At least 7 people were killed. Meteorologist Kelly Cass explains the science behind the culprit of this tragedy, super fog. Yeah, and things to remember when you are driving in fog, as well as this particular accident. I-55, remember, it's still closed from Ponchatoula to Ruddock. We've got, or Ponchatoula to Ruddock. Then we've got that closure because of that accident right before Manchac. Motorists need to use the alternate route in place along old US 51. Fog leads to over 25,000 accidents per year on average, over 8,900 injuries, and over 460 deaths. So low visibility vehicles, always a bad combination. Mike, you got to reduce that speed, set lights to low beams. I think a lot of times people think the high beams will help. It's the low beams you want. You want to increase your following distance and minimize distractions.
We also have
the show, Dr. Nab, back to break down the tropics. It's Phillies fans and the Fanatic are going to be going wild. Citizens Bank Park, a park unlike any other, and a forecast that's absolutely spectacular. Really no problems here. We got 63 at 6 o'clock. Game time temperatures in the upper 50s. We'll hold through the 50s throughout that game. Hoping we can get the bats going again. Arizona Diamondbacks in town. It again is a critical Game 7. Who goes to the World Series? We find out tonight, probably around 11 o'clock. The games go faster. They still take a little bit of time. But again, with winds 5 to 10 miles an hour, with temperatures comfortable, we are not going to be seeing weather play any kind of significant role in this one. So good news. I'm doing this, so hopefully I've turned the curse of Mike Bettis around. I've got my red on, Mike. I got my Phillies jersey ready to go tonight. You disappointed me greatly.
You put me on the spot yesterday, Alex, and they were undefeated in playoff games.
I know.
So I had to go with them.
And then you did.
I didn't mean to do it.
It was the kiss of death.
I'm sorry, Philly, but I'm stunned.
Yeah.
In all the years the Phillies have been playing baseball, and they're one of the oldest teams.
It's going to be a tough week of driving. Take it to St. Louis, where we've got the cloud cover. We've seen rain showers around parts of the Midwest, dry right now in the St. Louis metro, but you'll get your chances this week. Temperatures, though, have been on the comfortable side, and they're going to be staying there through much of the week. Right now it's 73 with winds around 5 miles an hour, and we'll see those temperatures remain above average. Here's your 7-day forecast. Again, tomorrow, or rather, today and tomorrow in the upper 70s, mid-70s Thursday. How about 85 for the end of your week? Partly cloudy on Friday. That's the day where everybody's going to be out and about, and especially because rain's back for the weekend. Saturday and Sunday both featuring higher rain chances, more cloud cover, temps in the lower 60s. So inside, watching football, listening to an album that comes out this weekend, whatever you want, but it's inside activities. And then look at how temperatures bottom out into the upper 40s. That's as good as it gets on Monday of next week. We'll see dry weather work back in, though. So at least in the short term, we've got above average temperatures before our system brings us the rain and then knocks temperatures back down to closer to, if not a little bit below average for this time of year. A lot of red on the map today. We've got a lot of 70s, upper 70s and 80s. Take a look at Jackson, Mississippi, though. 87 degrees today, 81 in Chicago. That strong area of high pressure, that'll be moving east, and that'll be keeping those above average temperatures in the forecast, not just for the plains, not just for the Midwest, but into the eastern half of the country as well. So a lot of people getting in on those above average temperatures. 222 million above average by Thursday. And the Thursday numbers, warm across the board. D.C. approaching 80, 80 in Raleigh, 75 in Cincinnati. So you want to get an outside seat at some of those food places. 86 in Jackson, 83 for Dallas, 85 in San Antonio and Brownsville, Texas. Yeah, low 90s for you. Mike, we'll keep that warmth around for our Friday.
Impressive. A guide.
They've actually never called me.
I wonder why.
Never called and asked if I wanted to lead a meditation.
Shocking.
There is one viewer who wrote that I had a very calming voice, and I was like, sir, that's just a lie. That's absolutely not true. That is farcical.
To each their own. Your voice is subjective, you know.
Know your
strengths. One man's trash is another man's treasure.
Exactly. Know your strengths.
Calming is not mine. That's not anything I do. But that's why we keep Dr. Nab around. He's here. I'm Alex Wilson. He's Mike Bettis. You are watching Weather Underground.
All right, so we've got a lot of storminess out there for us. We've got some thunderstorms, also watching a snowstorm developing.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's start with the rains to San Antonio up to Oklahoma City. That I-35 corridor is active right now, and we're going to keep rain showers there throughout the day. Today, best chance of severe weather. It's going to be isolated to widely scattered. I don't think we'll see a ton of severe weather, but it's where we've got it now, and then moving over into sections of West Texas through the rest of today. Tomorrow, we get into some more of those big metro areas, Lawton to Wichita Falls, Abilene to San Antonio. These areas could see, again, isolated severe risk. I don't think we'll see a ton of severe weather, but that's where the strong storms that bring the hail, the gusty, damaging winds could be. Future radar showing today stays active along I-35, and again, sections of New Mexico and West Texas. You guys light up during the late evening and overnight hours, so portions of I-10 could be looking at some strong storms while you're sleeping into tomorrow morning. Wednesday afternoon, now we've got the thunderstorms towards Dallas and Fort Worth, towards Waco and College Station, down towards places like Austin, Texas. So a lot of population centers getting in on thunderstorms and heavy rain. Dallas and Fort Worth, we've got the activity today, and again tomorrow. I think particularly during the afternoon and evening hours, that's going to be prime time watch as the thunderstorms start to roll in, bringing us again that hail and damaging wind potential out of severe, but a lot of heavy rain. Mike?
All right, so let's break it down.
Your car is loaded with all the survival necessities this winter. Dr. Rick Nab has a closer look at what you need to keep in your car to keep you and your family safe this season.
Those things are perfect, right? So on our poll question today, we're asking you, what is the one must-have winter item you need in your vehicle? Everything you just pointed out, Dr. Nab, is a must-have, I feel like. But for our viewers at home, what's like the one thing, really? We've given you 4 choices.
Yeah, and there's one that's just taken it away. It is the all-important ice scraper, right? 70% at last check voted on that ice scraper. We also put snow tires, chains, what was the other one? Snack?
Wiper fluid.
Same thing.
Yeah.
No, just kidding. Don't do that. That's bad.
But
that's very bad.
All these things could be life-saving for you.
Yeah, that scraper's important, or else you know what you have to do as a backup. You get that credit card out. It's not going to do as good a job.
Your fingers are cold.
So many of you, especially live in the West, snow tires.
Yeah.
Got to have the snow tires, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, teach me how to put those on. I have no clue.
Alex is like...
And Dr. Nab, you were there in South Florida, 2005, full of so many storms that people remember, but Wilma, one of the tops.
And the message that I have for people in South Florida, when you remember back to Wilma, a lot of people perceive in South Florida, Southeast Florida, that they got hit by a major hurricane.
Right.
But Broward and Palm Beach and Miami-Dade counties got either Category 1 or Category 2 conditions. And because it came in on the Southwest Florida side, you didn't get much of a storm surge on the Southeast Florida coastline. That is nowhere near as bad as what would happen if you got a major hurricane make direct landfall on the southeast coast. So it is a wake-up call about how vulnerable Southeast Florida is, because there was a ton of wind damage there.
And a wake-up call for what late October can do. You know, we saw it with Sandy. We've got Wilma here as those peak examples of how potent systems can still be towards the later parts of the season.
And where those 2 hurricanes and so many others in October came from is the Western Caribbean. And this year, the Caribbean is juiced up, and this problem could last into November this year.
Absolutely. We look at what's happening in the...
Thanks for staying with us. You are watching Weather Underground. I'm Mike Bettis.
I'm Alex Wilson, joined by our expert, Dr. Nab. Did somebody say snowball fight? Because it might happen
All kinds of seasons going on this week, right?
I'm ready.
There is everything going on in October, from the cold behind all that snow, I mean, single digits up in Montana, to juicy, warm air moving into Texas and Oklahoma to bring some much-needed rain.
Yeah, they do really
Yes.
need the rain, and they've got quite a bit of it on the way.
Oh, and by the way, like summer's extending for
Yeah.
you across the southeast, right? Staying quite warm for you for the rest of the week. There are the maps. Boy, that one on the left stands out, doesn't it? A lot of blue, purple on that map. Some significant snow in Montana. You in particular are at risk.
Yeah, Dr. Nab's vibing with the 18 to 24 inches today, which is not normally, I feel like, what you would, want, right? You're not a snow guy.
No, but I figure I'll just join the party, especially since I get to watch it remotely.
There are the showers in the middle of the country, and then storms progressively move east from there, but Midwest heads up for you. We've already had some severe thunderstorm warnings in places like Minnesota today.
Yeah, we saw some active storms yesterday in the mid, so all the way from lower Michigan, northern sections of lower Michigan, across Lake Michigan, into northern Wisconsin, over into parts of Minnesota. Tons of lightning. So if you're hearing thunder, you've got a potent thunderstorm that could be dangerous. But again, some of those upping the ante on the potency with the hail and the gusty, damaging winds. And just like that, one snuck in south of Minneapolis. I couldn't see it under the text. So let's start there, actually, with the higher population. South side of Minneapolis, we've got the possibility of hail. And again, some gusty winds out of these as well. Dakota, Hennepin, and Scott counties under the warning until 2:30 local time. Bloomington, Egan, and Eden Prairie in the path of this one. So we'll watch for some gusty winds. Greens are going towards the radar, reds going away. So when we time this out, Bloomington, you could see a surge of wind. Also communities like Savage and Richfield and West St. Paul. West St. Paul, you're not in the warning, but we could see that storm, or we will see that storm continue your way. We could see that warning extended. And there's the hail core near the Shakopee area. That's along Highway 169. It's going to be headed towards the 494 loop. At this point, we've got about nickel-sized hail. Atwood, Bloomington, Fort Snelling, Mendota Heights, and St. Paul, all in the path of the hail core of this storm. So we've got, a double, what am I trying to say? Double whammy for this storm. We've got the hail and we've got the gusty winds. In some areas, you may actually end up seeing both. So that's the one storm. And we've got a footprint of hail back off to the west at Winthrop. Hail about nickel in size. Hail over 1.5 inches there in Green Isle. So some larger hail there. Same for Springfield, farther off to the southwest. So quarter to golf ball size hail these storms have been bringing. So not out of the question to get some large damaging hail. Keep that in mind for your vehicle later this afternoon, because today, that same area that we're watching now is going to be the area to watch later for the opportunity of not just hail, but gusty winds. I don't think we'll see a ton of severe warnings, but severe warnings here and there from parts of Michigan, especially the UP, through Wisconsin into Minnesota. Tomorrow, we back this off to the southwest. We've got Des Moines, we've got northern Missouri, we've got northern Kansas, parts of Nebraska, I-80, I-29, I-35. So some big interstates that also could be looking at hail and gusty winds. Timing for this afternoon, watch all the thunderstorms. The coverage remains the same. So we've also got to watch for the opportunity that we just get too much rain in some of these areas. These storms will produce a lot of lightning and heavy downpours. So be prepared for some high water, or at least some ponding on the roadways. You could get into some areas where it's tough to see as well. And we've got rain back towards Kansas City. That'll be persistent through the late evening and overnight hours too. So again, wouldn't be surprised if you wake up tomorrow morning around Kansas City with some water trouble. Some of those low spots may be filled up, and more rain coming through the rest of the week. So Wednesday, Thursday, Friday offering up more of the same. Same with Saturday through Sunday. Plenty of areas could see 2-3+ inches of rain across the upper Great Lakes, and Mike back towards the Kansas City metro and into parts of eastern Kansas.
All right, so let's talk about those showers.
Second straight day, the city of New Orleans started with a dense fog advisory. A foggy pileup involving more than 150 cars and trucks forced officials to close the northbound lanes of Interstate 55 west of the city. At least 7 people were killed in the crash. Meteorologist Kelly Cass explains the science behind the culprit of this tragedy, super fog. All right, so I-55 remains closed from Ponchatoula to Ruddock. That closure was due to the accident before Manchac, and motorists need to use the alternate route in place along old US 51. Things to remember when you're driving in fog. This causes a ton of accidents each and every year, because remember, all fog is a reduction of visibility. One of the worst things you can get when you're on a road, especially those interstates. Over 25,000 crashes in a year, over 8,900 injuries, and over 460 deaths on average each year. So reduce your speed, set those lights on low beams. You want to increase your following distance and minimize distractions if you are driving out in fog. Of course, Mike, You do what you can in some of these situations. I understand it truly was a worst case scenario yesterday for a lot of those drivers.
It can be a panic moment. There's no doubt about that. And we may have to.
On the show, Dr. Nab is here to break down the tropics. They're supporting the Phillies, who have never played in a Game 7, by the way. Absolutely mind-blowing. But here's hoping you're 1 for 1 in Game 7. Sorry, Arizona Diamondback fans, but it's been a good series, man. When one's up, they're up. When one's down, they're down. 6 p.m. temperatures in the low 60s. I know you guys are out there. Honestly, they're probably tailgating already. We've got temps in the upper 50s at 8 o'clock at the start of this one, 10 o'clock, midnight. They've greased the poles, so if you're out there still at midnight, don't go try climbing anything. It's 53 degrees at midnight. Again, this stamps your ticket to the World Series, so the winner truly takes all. Game 7s are exciting. I wish you wouldn't have gotten us here, but alas, here we are.
I will take the blame on that. I will take the heat.
Red Wings playing tonight. Again, one of the all teams playing. We look outside, it's 75 degrees. It does not feel like hockey weather in Detroit. We've got winds of 13 miles an hour. And when we look at the forecast, more of these warm days coming our way, at least in the short term before things come tumbling down. So your 7-day forecast for the city of Detroit. We get you into southeast Michigan. 76 today, 64 tomorrow, back to the 70s, low to mid 70s Thursday and Friday. Now, cooler conditions roll in for our weekend. Saturday, you'll be near 60. Sunday, showers and 51. So Sunday, that's when we pull the rug out from underneath you, and that's when you go, ooh, it is fall. We'll keep the scattered showers Monday. Highs even colder, 45, as good as it gets. That is going to be a raw fall day here. And what is it? It's Tuesday. Was that Tuesday that I was talking about? I think it was. That's Halloween. So we don't love that into early next week. I think that was actually Monday. But anyway, next Tuesday is Halloween. So cooler temps working in for a lot of those trick-or-treaters. Keep that in mind for the costume preparation. You may have to add the long sleeves, even the rain gear underneath those. Today, we've got temps of 81 in Chicago. So this would be a whole different ball game, right? If Halloween was today. We've got 87 in Jackson, near 80 in Nashville, Tennessee. It's all thanks to this ridge of high pressure that is going to keep things on the warm side, really expanding east as we move towards the late part of the week. So that keeps a lot of areas on the warm side. Northeast, mid-Atlantic, southeast, Ohio Valley, Midwest. 222 million people above average by Thursday. Thursday high temperatures into the low to mid 80s for Dallas and San Antonio, Jackson and New Orleans. Tallahassee's at 86. Raleigh, North Carolina's at 80. And we are knocking on the door of 80 degrees in Washington, D.C. Even Cincinnati and Chicago in the 70s. 77 for St. Louis. So a lot of well above average temperatures. Friday, more of the same. Low 80s for D.C. and Raleigh. Mid 70s Cincinnati. 85 in St. Louis. I was trying to find an 89. Is there an 89? Somebody's going to hit 89 because it's a big day on Friday. We'll be back after this.
It'd be awesome if you wouldn't keep talking.
That video was amazing, but your loud voices ruined it.
We just need like a cool little, like the spa soundtrack to go with that.
We need the calm lady or Siri on our phone. Even she's pretty calm. I mean,
this is true.
She's again, on the scale of us, it's like tornado siren.
Alex,
me,
Siri,
fire engine,
Alexa,
foghorn. Then, it goes farther down.
Yeah.
So, well, you are watching Weather Underground. Happy to wake you up. I'm Alex Wilson. He's Mike Bettis. Dr. Nab, he's the calming presence we all need on this show.
He definitely is. We do have some storms out there that are anything but calm. In fact, severe thunderstorms in the Midwest right now.
Yeah, we've got plenty of thunder to go around, so you're not feeling very zen. Oklahoma through parts of New Mexico, West Texas as well. And then we've got rain from Dallas down to San Antonio. So it's a soggy stretch of I-35 this afternoon. These areas really need the rain. They're glad to see it. Could we get too much of a good thing? Yeah, we could see some issues when it comes to water. We had some flash flood warnings yesterday. Wouldn't be surprised to see some today, especially when I show you the future radar. You'll see some of the same areas continue to get in on some heavy downpours. I-25, I-10, I-20, I-27 today, all possibly seeing at least an isolated severe storm. It would be hail, gusty, damaging winds we'd watch for. Tomorrow, now we push into some of those populated areas. So Killeen and San Antonio, Abilene, the Dallas-Fort Worth metro, Wichita Falls, even the southwest corridor there of Oklahoma City's metro area, so down towards Lawton, you guys could see some spicy thunderstorms. This is what I'm talking about. This afternoon, notice those showers, maybe a few thunderstorms along I-35. We got this area of the more potent weather that rolls east during the overnight and into tomorrow morning, and it'll continue during the day. So by tomorrow afternoon and evening, now Dallas back in the mix. Now College Station, Waco, San Antonio, and Austin could get more more heavy downpours, and that could mean, again, the possibility of some water problems. So Dallas and Fort Worth, we got a lot of pavement here, and at least Fort Worth, it looks likely that you see some more persistent rain through the day today. Tonight, a brief break, few spotty showers tomorrow morning, but Mike, more action headed our way later Wednesday.
All right, Alex, thanks for that.
Important your car is loaded with all the survival necessities you'll need this winter. Our Dr. Rick Knabb has a closer look at what you need to put in your car to keep you and your family safe this season.
All right, those are all great options, terrific options, Dr. Knabb. However, we had to limit it to 4 on our poll question today. So
and
we
only
said
one could be supreme.
Only one can be supreme. There's one clear winner right now. We gave you ice scraper, chains, and then wiper fluid and snow tires. And about 70% of respondents say, got to have the ice scraper.
I can't argue with the ice scraper choice because just about everybody can use that, even down south.
Right.
If it gets cold in the morning and your window.
2005, of course, a season we all remember, but in that epic season, Wilma, one that goes down up at the top of the list.
And what's amazing is that it could have been so much stronger when it got to Florida if it hadn't spent as much time over the Yucatan Peninsula of Mexico as it did. I mean, it sat there and sat there, but then it was a much larger Cat 3 when it came to Florida than what it was in the Western Caribbean, which was a tiny Cat 5.
And you were on shift. It did quite a bit of damage there in the South Florida area. You went home, you said your home was okay, but there was a lot to clean up.
Yeah, that's a day I will never forget. I mean, everybody's got their story of when they've gone through a hurricane, and mine is not nearly as bad as people who got a lot of damage, but I'm doing the forecasting at the Hurricane Center while I can hear the hurricane winds outside, and I can't help but look at the radar to look at what exactly is going over my home where my wife and 1-year-old son are. You know, it requires planning to be able to make sure that you're safe, your family's safe, and you can do your job. But the Hurricane Center, that's why they have a plan. And why the families plan ahead of time so you can make sure everybody's safe and secure, and then you do your job.
Yeah, because ultimately your job is saving other families. This also goes to show you that, you know, I think sometimes we get here in the second half of October and November and people go, we're good, but we can get some really potent storms like Wilma late in the season.
Yeah, and one thing that concerns me about this season is how warm the Caribbean waters are, because they haven't been worked over very much.
No.
And what if we get a really strong system in the Western Caribbean even into November? So this kind of thing is unlikely to happen, but can you rule it out the rest of this year? I wouldn't.
No, absolutely. And when we look at what's happening in the tropics.
Staying with us here on Weather Underground. Welcome back in. I'm Mike Bettis.
I'm Alex Wilson, always with our hurricane expert, Dr. Knabb. We've got such an October forecast. It's like the big bag of candy that has all the candies, except you can't put the fruit-flavored ones in with the chocolate ones, or then everything tastes like the fruit. Like if there's Twizzlers in it, they all taste like it.
Yes, you are absolutely correct. I hated that when I was growing up. Yes.
I noticed they've stopped doing that.
Yep.
So thank you, Hershey's Company. Anyway.
Are you saying that weather's like a box of chocolates?
Weather's like a box of chocolates. We got a multi-pack. You know, we might want the peanut butter cup warmth, but what we got is the winter storm.
Well, you know what I did as a kid, with my brother, we dump all the candy out on the table and then we barter. And you can have this, you can have that. So if I'm in the Southeast, I'm like, no, I'm keeping mine. This weather this week is really, really nice. And above average in late October for many of you in the Midwest can be beautiful. So this is a pretty good forecast.
But a place like Montana maybe saying, I'll keep mine. Here comes winter, and we love it. There's a lot of snow in this forecast.
I should tell my 35-year-old brother that I just took his. He didn't know. I was just walking by his basket, just taking the good stuff.
Deer.
Yeah. I was like, oh, wow, what a cool movie. Anyway, thanks.
And in Texas, in the middle, I'll take everything, put it together, and produce a rainy pattern for the next week that is mostly going to be beneficial.
They need the rain very badly, north to south, along the southern plains, northern plains.
And I personally arranged for the rain to be beneficial all the way up until about Halloween, and then dry it out.
Look at you. Asking you shall receive from Dr. Rick Knabb, right? Let's show you the severe weather.
Thunderstorms right now in the metro. So timing here is 3 o'clock local time, and you've got plenty of thunderstorms, plenty of downpours out there on the road. So if you are sneaking out of work a little bit early, maybe you work one of those, 5 to 3 or 5 would it be? I guess it would be 6 to 3 shifts. You're going to be up against some poor weather here, and I think we're going to keep it around for the late day drive across a lot of these areas. Kansas City, you've seen the rain move in. Temps are at 70 though, so it's not a chilly rain, not necessarily what we would expect to see here in the late part of October. Lots of lightning, nothing severe at this point. However, we may see some small hail out of these storms. We're getting a ton of lightning, so if you are hearing thunder, you need to be inside, and there are a lot of big time downpours from western sections of Wisconsin through southern parts of Minnesota. And then up here, UP of Michigan, northern sections of lower Michigan, where actually we've got a flash flood warning. Sanborn, 2-inch diameter hail. Green Valley, Wisconsin, also picking up on 2-inch diameter hail. Somebody compared it to the diameter of a soda can. So think of that. You're sitting there drinking a soda or sparkling water. Look at the base of the can. That's how large that hail was. This is the hail that's going to do damage to your roof, do damage to your car, do damage to you if you are outside. So again, inside where you need to be with these storms rolling through. Today, the severe risk is very much in line with where the severe weather has happened. So Storm Prediction Center nailing it from the Traverse City area there in parts of Michigan to the UP, back through Wisconsin, back through Minnesota, into the state of Iowa. Tomorrow, it's a little southwest of where we've got it now. So Des Moines, northern Missouri, back into Kansas and Nebraska. A lot of major interstates. We've got Omaha in the threat zone tomorrow. This afternoon, we keep the rain where it's been. We keep the storms where they've been. So I wouldn't necessarily be surprised to see more water issues as well. Would not discount the possibility that we see some flash flood warnings in these areas, especially here through Wisconsin, where, gosh, we have just seen persistent heavy rain. Also, Kansas City. Look at this. During the overnight into tomorrow morning, we've got that rain heavy at times, and it will be persistently falling through the morning commute. So be prepared that maybe there's some water standing on some of those roadways. Between now and through the weekend, we could pick up 3 to 5 inch totals where you see the yellow. So that stretch to the north, that stretch farther into the middle of the country, farther south as well. A lot of this zone, though, Mike, picking up 1 to 2 inches. It is needed. It is welcome rain for these areas, which have been dealing with drought on their own. I know we talk a lot about the southern plains, but across the north, they've needed the wet weather, too.
In honesty,
straight day, the city of New Orleans started with a dense fog advisory. A foggy pileup involving more than 150 cars and trucks forced officials to close the northbound lanes of I-55 west of the city. At least 7 people were killed. Meteorologist Kelly Cass explains the science behind the culprit of this tragedy, super fog. All right, so again, I-55 remains closed in that area. It is that accident before Man Shack that led to the closure. Motorists need to use old US 51 in the meantime. And unfortunately, fog is one of the worst weather factors you can come up against when you're driving. Because think about it. What's the worst thing you get when you're driving? Low visibility. When you can't see, makes it really hard to drive. Over 25,000 crashes each year due to fog, over 8,900 injuries, and over 460 deaths each and every year because of fog. So when you are out in fog, I know sometimes high beams seem intuitive, but you actually want to go with the low beams, set your, or reduce your speed. I know you're on the interstate, but you may not be going the speed limit even. You may need to slow down because you may come up across vehicles or other hazards before you have enough time to stop, right? If you're going 60 miles an hour, and minimize distractions as well. That's going to be key in situations like this, Mike.
Really scary stuff for